flight attendants with Air Canada have overwhelmingly rejected the company's wage offer. The union says they voted 99.1% against it. Voter turnout was 99.4%. The tentative deal reached with the airline last month included a 12% salary increase this year for most junior flight attendants and an 8% bump for more senior members. QP says it wasn't good enough, accusing the airline of not bargaining in good faith on wages and blaming the government, saying it gave Air Canada leverage in negotiations. The union says the issue of wages will now proceed to mediation and then arbitration if necessary. Air Canada says it is fully committed to the mediation and arbitration process and that no strike or lockout will happen and flights will continue to operate. Let's now bring in Keith Burkhardt, labor lawyer with Sherrodkers in this conversation. Keith, good evening and thanks for your time. Your read on what's happened. Was this expected to happen?
I believe it was expected that the tentative agreement would be rejected by the members of the union. The fact that it was rejected by over 99% is a bit of a surprise. However, the union was not happy and its members were not happy with how this process has played out. And given the fact that it will now proceed to arbitration, I think there's a number of union members who would feel like there was no downside to actually rejecting the offer and hoping that they can do better at arbitration.
So let's talk about the next steps involved here. What will they really look like when you say arbitration?
So the parties will get together and they will attempt to see if they can find common ground and actually reach a settlement on the wages. If that's not possible, then they will go in front of an arbitrator and they will make their argument that the Air Canada will likely stick with the current proposal or the tentative agreement. Their argument will be that the union had agreed to it and it reflects what we've seen in the industry, it reflects economic conditions, and it is fair for union members. The union will say that with a 99% rejection of that agreement, that it is not enough and that they should get more, and they will, of course, use their own narrative as to why they believe that the offer was not sufficient and that their members should receive a higher increase. It is only the wages that will be part of that. All other terms and conditions of the collective agreement have actually been agreed to and finalized, including Air Canada's introduction of ground pay for a pay for certain time prior to flights taking off.
Keith, I'm curious. I mean, what happens if there is no agreement even in this arbitration process? We have already seen another Crown corporation, which is, working with conditions. Negotiations are still ongoing. In this case, when the union says, QP says that there will be no lockout or a strike and flights will continue to take off and land. But what happens if there is no agreement in the arbitration process?
It is a final and binding arbitration that is decided by a single individual, a single arbitrator, who will be chosen by the parties. So it will be someone who is a neutral. They will make the final decision. The parties will determine whether it will be a final offer selection, so they can either choose the union's offer or Air Canada's offer, or if the arbitrator will have the ability to craft whatever he or she believes is most fair in the circumstances. But that will be the final decision.
Okay.
It will not go back for any sort of other vote.
Can I ask you a broader question, please, Keith, about what's happening, with the health of the employers and employees and the relations between them across the country, several sectors? Because in the last 2 years, whether it's been railways, ports, now aviation, we have seen major strikes. What does it tell you about what's happening in the country?
I think there's part of it that is, it's still a bit of a catch-up from the COVID years and from the inflation that we saw during that period of time. I think that we are seeing a number of situations as well where employers are returning to profitability and unions are saying we need to be able to have our members participate in the profitability of these companies and receive higher increases as a result. But I think the two factors that I think are most important, though, are the economic ones. We all know that the world is more expensive today, and unions are trying to keep up with that. And we're also seeing a real pushback towards some of the corporate authority that we've seen in the past.
Right.
And we're not seeing individuals simply say, I'm happy with what I have. They really are looking for more.
Keith Burkhardt is a labor lawyer with Sharatkars. Appreciate your time and insights. Keith, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.